Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping straight into John C. Maxwell's The 360-Degree Leader. You, our listener, flag this one for us. And yeah, our goal is to really dig into how you lead effectively from, well, wherever you are in an organization.
Right. No corner office needed for this one.
Exactly. We'll tackle some, common ideas, maybe myths about leadership and pull out the practical stuff. Leading up, across, down. The whole 360 degrees.
In this deep dive, it's really tailored for you, the learner. We know you want that knowledge efficiently, comprehensively, those aha moments, right?
Without getting totally bogged down.
Precisely. Whether you're prepping for a meeting, maybe getting up to speed in a field, or just, curious. We aim to cut through the noise, focus on what really counts.
Okay, so let's kick things off by challenging a big one. This idea, I can only lead when I get the top job, the title.
Yes. The book hits that hard, calls it the position myth.
It really does. And the argument is leadership isn't really about where you sit on the org chart. It's a choice.
A choice you actively make. Anyone, really, at any level can decide to step up and lead.
And the real insight there, I think, is that it's not just about prepping for later. When you lead without the title now.
You're actually changing things now, reshaping your current spot.
And showing initiative that, well, people notice.
Exactly. This belief, I can't lead if I'm not at the top. It's so common, isn't it?
Totally.
But Maxwell's point is leadership. It just boils down to influence. Nothing more, nothing less, really.
It makes you think about, volunteer groups, doesn't it?
Perfect example. People with zero formal authority, they drive projects, they inspire others.
Just through relationships and passion.
Absolutely. So if you wait for that promotion before you even try to lead.
You're missing chances, right? Chances to build those connections, grow your influence right where you are.
You got it. The key takeaway here is that leadership, it's not some exclusive club at the summit.
It's a choice, a commitment you make wherever you are.
You can make a difference, have an impact no matter the title.
Okay, so that leads us pretty neatly into the second myth, the destination myth.
Right. This is the, when I get to the top, then I'll figure out how to lead mindset.
Which is kind of like...
Yeah.
Like thinking you could just stroll up to a marathon on race day.
Yeah, and just run it without any training. It's the perfect analogy.
Doesn't work that way.
Not at all. Leadership, like that marathon, it needs prep. You have to acquire skills, develop habits, deepen your understanding before you get that big role.
The book uses that idea of preparing for a physical challenge, right?
Yeah.
Success needs the groundwork.
Exactly. You can't expect peak performance without putting in the work first. The real point is leadership isn't a switch you flip when you get promoted.
It's a muscle you build over time.
And if you neglect that training, you're vulnerable when the pressure hits.
So thinking the skills just magically appear with the new title, well, that's optimistic.
Wildly optimistic. Maybe even a recipe for failure.
Yeah.
So the core insight from this destination myth is simple. Learn to lead before you're handed the position.
Prepare today.
Invest now. Because tomorrow's opportunities, they'll need a leader who's ready, not scrambling.
Okay, myth number 3. This one tackles influence directly. If I were on top, people would just follow me.
The assumption that position automatically equals influence?
Yeah, like it's built in.
But the book draws a really fascinating distinction between authority, which, okay, a position can grant you some lying.
Sure.
And genuine influence, that has to be earned.
Absolutely.
It mentions those unsung heroes, like in the civil rights movement, working within corporations.
Right. Individuals, often without the big titles, they drove change, climbed ranks, purely through their influence. It shows impact isn't tied to rank.
Really makes you think. They navigated these complex places, made progress from within.
Proving you don't need the C-suite corner office to be a powerful force.
So the takeaway from the influence myth is...
You can, and really, you must, build influence from wherever you are right now. Effective 360-degree leadership isn't just about managing down. It's just as much about leading up, leading across. And that takes skills. Principles.
Skills anyone can learn. So the shift is think influence, not just position.
Okay, but leading from the middle. It's not always easy, is it? The book talks about some real challenges.
Oh, definitely not smooth sailing all the time.
The first one is the tension challenge. Okay, what does that actually, feel like day to day?
It's basically being caught in that middle spot. You've got demands from above and needs from below, collaborating sideways.
Pulling in different directions.
Exactly. That inherently creates tension. The book stresses you need to actively build strong relationships, find support, to manage it.
And it really flags a big danger, breaking trust. That just cranks up the tension, doesn't it?
Massively. Violating trust tied to your role, abusing power, undermining your boss, misusing resources, it just erodes everything, makes that inherent tension way, way worse.
Then there's the frustration challenge. And I think, gosh, almost everyone can relate to this one. Working for an ineffective leader.
Oh, yeah. That's a tough spot.
What's the book's advice there? Because trying to fix your boss seems tricky.
It's often frustrating and, frankly, usually doesn't work. The key message is focus on you. How can you still add value, stay effective, despite the leader above you?
So it's about managing your own contribution.
Right. If the leader isn't changing, you basically have two paths. Adjust your own attitude, your approach. Or, if it's really toxic or damaging,
Look elsewhere.
consider changing your work address, as the book puts it.
It even uses that historical example, Robert E. Lee under Jefferson Davis, a brilliant general still facing constraints.
Powerful illustration. Even someone like Lee had to operate within the limits set by, let's say, less effective higher leadership. And the book points to things like insecurity, lack of vision, selfishness in leaders. Those really fuel this frustration.
Creates a bad environment. Okay, and the third challenge, the multi-hat challenge. This feels very real for middle managers.
It really does. It's about that constant juggling act.
Yeah.
Unlike folks at the bottom with focus tasks or those at the top who can delegate a lot.
The middle is doing it all.
Often, yeah. Wearing multiple hats at once. Managing up, managing down, working across departments. The book uses that sous chef example.
Right, managing staff, vendors, reporting up,
Huh.
all happening at the same time.
Sounds exhausting, doesn't it?
Incredibly demanding.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the myths, the challenges. Now for the really practical stuff. Principles for leading up. First one, lead yourself exceptionally well.
This feels like the bedrock, honestly.
It does. The absolute foundation.
And the book breaks it down. First, managing your emotions. Not suppressing them, but choosing how you respond, putting the team's needs ahead of your own immediate feelings.
Okay, and time management.
Crucial, especially in the middle where you might not have tons of delegation power.
And it hammers home being a continual learner, shifting from just hitting goals to like ongoing growth.
It's about growth over just goals. I love that analogy too. Mario Batali versus your neighbor who cooks.
Yeah, you listen more to the expert, right?
Yeah, exactly. Your competence grows, so does your credibility, your influence with everyone.
And that quote about planting a tree.
The best time was 25 years ago. The second best time is today. Just start learning now. Don't wait.
Makes sense. Okay, second principle for leading up, lessen the load for your leader. This seems almost like good common sense.
It is, but it's powerful. Make your boss's job easier and you become pretty valuable.
So how do you do that practically?
Well, the book suggests things like stepping up for the tough jobs, volunteering for the challenges others might avoid. That signals commitment.
Being the go-to person.
Yeah, reliably delivering results, especially when things are tough, when momentum is low. They call them momentum makers. That takes pressure off your leader.
And going the extra mile. Like that Chris Hodges example, taking initiative on the TV show even though it wasn't his job.
Exactly. That shows real dedication. Plus, simple loyalties, supporting the leader, the organization.
And taking ownership.
Full ownership, 100% responsibility for what you're given. That J.C. Penney quote. Unless you are willing to drench yourself in your work, it captures that intensity.
Okay, third principle shifts to relationships. Invest in relational chemistry with your leader. So it's not just about tasks.
Right, it's the human connection. Things like catching your leader's enthusiasm, showing you're on board with their initiatives, that builds a bond.
And understanding their priorities.
Crucial. Knowing their vision, their goals, lets you align your work. You help them succeed. And the book notes, promote their dreams, and they will promote you.
There's an element of self-interest there, but it's mutually beneficial.
It can be. And connecting on a personal level, too, knowing their interests outside work. If they golf, maybe learn a little about golf. It's about relating as individuals.
Not just boss-employee.
Exactly. And being prepared every single time you take your leader's time.
That 5 minutes of thinking saves an hour.
Potentially. Top leaders are usually quick decision makers, but they need good info. The example of Linda, the assistant.
Who preps 10 minutes for every 1 minute of the leader's time. Wow.
Shows a level of respect for their time. And related to that, when asked to speak, don't wing it.
Oof. Yeah. Credibility hit, that Joe Frazier quote about road work.
Perfect analogy. Lack of prep shows under pressure.
So true.
Also, learning to speak their language, understanding their communication style, like Charlie Wetzel learning John Maxwell's style, it just makes interactions smoother. And finally, showing a return on their investment in you, documenting growth, showing appreciation, reinforces your value.
Okay, final principle for leading up. Be a resource to your leader, being someone they can count on.
Exactly. Being truly helpful. This means being willing to do what others weren't. The honest, ethical, beneficial tasks, even the unglamorous ones.
And finding creative solutions. The Roosevelt Johnson photo story.
Great example of resourcefulness. Thinking outside the box to prevent a problem.
I like the idea of being a player who adds value, focusing on completing the team, not just competing with everyone.
It's a key mindset shift. Healthy competition is good, but the goal is collective success. Complementing teammates.
Makes the whole team stronger.
It does. And knowing when to push your ideas and when to back off, that's a delicate balance.
The Warren Buffett quote about the stream speed.
Right. Timing is everything. Push too hard, too often, you might get pushed out.
So you need judgment.
Successful leaders make the right move at the right moment with the right motive. You need to read the room. Does the atmosphere say no? And check the relationship. Does my request exceed our relationship?
Like the Esther story, approaching King Xerxes. Very calculated.
Very. It required understanding the context, the person, the risks, which leads to the final point. Taking appropriate risks, having some skin in the game.
Shows commitment, earns trust.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground here, diving into the 360-degree leader. Let's quickly recap the big takeaways for you listening.
Yeah, we looked at those myths, right? The ones that hold people back when they're not at the top. And then we dug into practical principles for leading up.
Key things being, leadership is a choice, not a title.
Preparation is absolutely essential. Don't wait.
Influence is earned, built through relationships and competence.
And adding value, being a resource, understanding your leader's world, all crucial for that 360-degree success.
So for our final thought, something for you to, chew on, consider this. Your current job, wherever it is, isn't a limitation. It's actually an opportunity, a training ground.
Right. To learn and practice the very skills that make leaders successful at any level.
So the question to ask yourself is, what's one small step, one deliberate action you can take today to lead more effectively right from where you are?
That's a powerful question to end on.
It really is. Thanks for diving deep with us.